Welcome to the Armed with Opinion channel here on YouTube. And I'm here the day after President Biden's speech, after his 100th day as president. It's April 29th of 2021. I have to say, Joe Biden gave a very good speech last night. And his first 100 days as a president have been better than I expected. As many of you know who have followed my channel, I came into this election from the primary season on with great trepidation, great fear of Joe Biden being the nominee, given his long history in the Senate and in his early days, his opposition to busing, his defiance of the NAACP on that issue and every other major black organization, and him siding with Southern segregationists. But apparently he's evolved over the years, and with the help of people like James Clyburn, Congressman and Democrat whip in the House of Representatives, he gained black support, which put him through in the primaries because he was doing poorly up until the South Carolina primary. He seems to understand how he got there. Naming of Kamala Harris as his vice president, and more importantly, his policy agenda. The COVID virus has been in the middle of his target of priorities, and he's done an excellent job. Right now, the problem we have is people hesitating and delaying to get vaccinations. There are plenty of vaccinations out there. There's still some people, some for historical reasons, others based on real basic ignorance, and there's a lot of garbage going around on social media about the virus, and fed largely by Republican Trumpites, the MAGA people, and it's snared some overly innocent liberals. But the vaccine has been proved to be safe. There were 6 blood clot problems with young women with the Johnson & Johnson, but there have been no issues with the Moderna or Pfizer, save for some side effects which were basically mild. But what it's done is put the country on a fast track to reopen it. The only delay are those people who are hesitating to take the virus, which from my perspective is just foolish. There's no scientific basis for not taking it. But people like to believe what they choose to believe. So they do. But Biden has done a good job. His infrastructure plan is excellent, and he has a broad concept of infrastructure. It's not just roads and highways. He has included the internet. He's included education in it. These things are very, very important because these are all infrastructure issues. And I'm glad to see him do that. What's really going to be his test is how he, the one Dixiecrat in the left of the Democratic Party, Joe Manchin of West Virginia. and he is a Dixiecrat. He, in a speech, in stating his opposition to reform, I mean, the filibuster, which has nothing to do with the Constitution, it's an internal Senate rule, said that he, understood and believed in states' rights. For those of you who know American history, states' rights was a doctrine first adopted in the 1840s prior to the Missouri Compromise for those who wanted to maintain slavery. And they wanted to maintain a state's rights to do it. And then during the 50s and 60s, states' rights was the anthem of those who opposed integration. Joe Manchin is well aware of that. He's coming from a state with very few black people, very few Hispanics, very few indigenous Americans left, and he's using the race card by talking about states' rights, much as Ronald Reagan did when he first announced his run for the presidency outside of Philadelphia, Mississippi, where 3 civil rights workers were killed. Manchin is not a good man. He's power hungry, and to use the states' rights as a reason for attacking the filibuster shows that he is a racist. He is a bad guy. Joe Biden is going to have to manage him, particularly on the issue of voting rights, because for me, that's the most important issue besides the pandemic facing the country right now. I live in Georgia. We have a stone cold racist governor who stole the office of the governorship from Stacey Abrams by purging voting rolls and having people turn senior citizens off buses a little over 2 years ago. Now Georgia enacted this very draconian and repressive voting rights law, which shortened voting hours, shortened the early voting time, took away drop boxes like the one I placed my 2 votes in this past year outside of the city hall where I live. It won't be there anymore, and they can't even be outside, even though they were watched by camera, and there were no incidents of fraud. The state attorney general for Georgia, a Republican, has said this, but the state assembly does not want black folks to vote. They don't want Hispanics to vote because they know they will lose, as they did the 2 senatorial races on January 6th. That's what this is about. So we need Biden to step up, because Republicans are doing this around the country, from Arizona to Texas and Michigan, Wisconsin. They're doing this around the country. So this actually, for me, will be the biggest test of the Biden administration. Though, what I said before and I say now, Biden has exceeded my expectations. I opposed him. I admit I was wrong. As of the first 100 days, he's turned out to be a very good president with a bold agenda. He has set out goals that I never dreamed that he would. He's trying to keep his campaign promises. I'm still curious and waiting to see how far he goes, because I think the voting rights portion, which he left to the end of his speech last night, is the most important, because without voting rights for black folks, we cannot elect Democrats to either national or state office. This is a reality. Joe Biden hopefully understands this. He should. He was in the Senate, for 30, in Congress together for 36 years. And then, 8 years as vice president. And now he's in his first 100 days of being the president. He's completed his first 100 days. So we shall see. We have to hold his feet and where he sits down to the fire. But I must acknowledge that so far he's done a good job. I was relieved to see Joe Biden instead of Trump, Donald Trump. They used Trump, his original family name, instead of he in the podium serving up hate. I mean, what commentators wrote today in the New York Times and Washington Post, I have to agree with. We're seeing Joe Biden take on the Reagan legacy and reversing it. Remember, Reagan was a states' rights candidate. He was an old-fashioned racist in spite of his sunny rhetoric. And the American public bought what he shoveled. Biden is trying to turn it around. Obama did. He got the Affordable Care Act passed, but he had so much opposition based both on race and his political affiliation as a Democrat. And it started before he was in office a week, when Mitch McConnell said he was going to oppose everything he did and try to make him a one-term president. McConnell failed. Because Biden is white, he has an advantage with many white voters. He's an okey-doke guy from Delaware who's born in Scranton, Pennsylvania. If any of you have been to those states, you can't get more okey-doke than that area of Pennsylvania. We're not talking Philadelphia here. We're talking closer to Harrisburg. And Delaware, as you know, on the East Coast, you can't get a more kind of depressing and unattractive state. So Joe Biden is who he says he is. He's an ordinary Joe. He has to be guided and pushed to do the right thing, but it seems like he has a conscience, and I'm gonna give him a chance. And that's all I have to say on this beautiful morning. Remember to subscribe to the Armwood Opinion channel. Hit the like button. The Google algorithm likes that a lot. They like comments even more. So please comment on this video, and you have a good day. Remember, resistance is not futile, as it says on my hat. As Locutus said when he had been assimilated by the Borg. He refused to give in, as we. So say we all. To go back to another science fiction show. Have a good day, folks. And thank you, Joe Biden.